I think the pixel art you made was great. How do you make pixels look worse? You know what I mean?
The MightyNet Genesis Pass Allow list is now open for applications. This will be a community of 1,337 movers and shakers of Web3. They're looking for folks ready to push the frontiers of Web3 gaming forward and folks who will forge new paths in video games together. 2021 was when the Web3 space truly came of age with NFTs. There have been some truly groundbreaking projects since then, like the Bored Apes, the Punks of the world, CloneX, Doodles, Moonbirds, and of course, games like Axie Infinity, leading the charge for the first generation of Web3 games. Now 2022 is around the corner, and the MightyNet Genesis Pass is a herald of things to come. A free mint via Allow list, this pass is your first step to the mighty ecosystem of games. It's an exclusive pass that will come with a host of benefits, including early access to Mighty Action Heroes and all other future games, access to the first in-game NFT drops, exclusive in-game content, and locking rewards for long-term holders. If you're a long-time holder of multiple blue chips, you're probably on the Allow list. If you're a dedicated gamer and contributor to the Web3 space, but maybe with some smaller bags, we still want you to get in on the mint. Visit mightynet.xyz to apply and join discord.gg/mightyactionheroes and @PlayMightyHero on Twitter if you have any question. Links will be included below, so make sure you check out the description and go to mightynet.tv/NGMI, learn more. As always, you guys, Play Mighty Hero and any other sponsors of NGMI have a mature relationship with the podcast, and this is sponsored content, so make sure you're doing your own research and only investing in projects that you personally like. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the NGMI podcast, aka the Web3 Show, aka the future #1 podcast in the world. Today, I am joined, as always, by my sexy, handsome, and humble co-host, KMoney_69. K, what's going on, bro?
What's up, everyone? That's me. I'm the handsome one. Definitely, he's not talking about this handsome devil that we have today. You all know him. You all love him. And you all are attracted to him, most likely. We have Andrew Wang. Welcome, Andrew. How you doing, bro?
Thank you. I'm always happy to come and support small up-and-coming content creators. So it's great.
Hey, listen, man. We're all about charity on the show.
I know people know me for being nice. It's the jersey. I'm wearing a mutant ape jersey.
Oh, okay.
It's like in Spider-Man 3. You know, when Peter gets infected by the symbiote, he's going around and he's like, "I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye." So it's the jersey.
Andrew, I'm gonna throw a tomato at you in real life. You keep acting like this, bro. You got it.
In a bear market, to me, that's a free tomato. And one tomato, if I take the seeds, in 6 months, that's 50 tomatoes. In six more months, that's 5,000 tomatoes. So you just don't understand
Danny Cole.
scale. If you're
sound like
throwing
Danny
tomato,
Cole.
you don't understand scale.
Were you in the creature
I'm not
world?
gonna lie.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was gonna say I miss Cool Cat Andrew Wang. I miss Wag Me. Like, I'm gonna uplift everyone. This mutant ape jersey wearing Andrew Wang is a fucking menace. And honestly, I'm scared. I'm not really. I'm cool. I'm actually down for it. Yeah. Keep bullying me, bro.
Andrew, dude, I'm gonna get right into it with a hard-hitting question to start the show. Very important. I think something a lot of people wonder about you, right? Which is, how does it feel to be far and away the best dressed man in Web3?
I think it's sort of this thing where you just have to smile and wave, because being the best dressed guy in Web3 means that I'm like a solid 5 out of 10 in Web2 in terms of how I dress. So it's sort of like hoping nobody ever puts me next to how people dress in Web2.
I think the 5 is a little
You guys have
generous.
to keep it up.
Damn, dude. Honestly, yo, can we get a round of applause for Champ right now? Really, just coming through with the heat. Holy shit.
Sorry.
Yeah, one of the most technical founders in all of Web3, and that's the opening question. I'm here for it. Andrew, I really resonate with what you said, because like, if people want to say like I'm like the best comedian in Web3, that means like I'm like the bottom of the barrel in Web2. So I get it. I completely get it. Who else would you say is like well dressed in Web3? Let's get into this.
All right. Okay. I would say Sobi. Sobi's always very well dressed. So shout out to him. I think Klon.
Wait, hold on.
Klon.
Champ, why are you stroking your hair, Champ? Like, he's not gonna say your name, bro. Chill. Bro, look at Champ, dude. He's like, he looks like a poodle right now. He's got the turtleneck
I'm
on.
not sponsored by this podcast, so if we want to work something out, ask me that again next week.
Okay, all right.
You can be my stylist. You can be my stylist. Dude, I am well dressed. Kevin, you know this for a fact, bro. I wish I had. Anyway, sorry, Andrew. Keep going.
No. I would also throw in Klon, the creator of Cool Cats. So I feel like he just owns it. I mean, dude shows up in the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses and the Cool Cat suit. You know, it's always wearing light blue with clouds. You know, you gotta respect it. He's found his own aesthetic. So, always proud of people who just sort of own their look, if that makes sense. I feel like that's one of the good things about Web3. You just sort of have to, you know, create an identity for yourself in real life if you want to, because you spend so much time thinking about what your identity in the metaverse looks like. It's like that stuff has got to carry over, and it may not be what's popular in Web 2, but it's like no NFTs are popular in Web 2 except maybe Bored Apes. You know, it makes me think like I was at this tennis game at the U.S. Open, and there was this 14-year-old kid asking me if I was into NFTs, and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of into NFTs, and he's like, oh my gosh, like what NFT do you have? And I was like, here's my Twitter, and it was a CryptoPunk, and he's like, oh, okay, CryptoPunk. And then my friend sitting next to me, and he's like, are you in NFTs too? And he's like, yeah, I do NFTs. And the kid's like, what NFTs do you have? And he's like, oh, you know, here's mine. And the kid goes, oh my god, you have a Bored Ape? And I'm just sitting here like, all right, like, fuck this kid. Nah, but I think it's all about, you know, there's in Web3 you get to make your own identity, so why shouldn't that translate into the physical world? I think if you sell something hard enough or you believe in yourself, it just builds in kind of that energy, which I think is a good metaphor for basically anything.
The title of this episode goes, Andrew Wang talks bullying children in public. And then
I'm telling you, it's the mutant jersey. I don't even own a mutant. It brings the worst out of me.
Dude,
I know.
Oh man, really? I can't imagine. No disrespect to you guys. I just can't imagine getting like more excited about a Bored Ape than a CryptoPunk. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm LARPing as one on Twitter. I just love them, but it's okay. We'll like find the kids like email. We'll send them some Rider Rips videos. We'll make it right. Dude, so I love like the subtle flexes that you always do. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, oh yeah, like you know, I was at a tennis game at the U.S. Open.
There's free tickets, by the way.
Dude, I feel like you're kind of like actually, hold on. So we never did a formal introduction of yourself. So I would like for you to do that, and then I will project what I think of you after.
You know what's crazy? I'm glad you're gonna project what you think of me, because I was about to leave. I saw you did an episode with Farouk, and Champ gave this like huge like most loved, most hated, underrated, overrated. You know,
dude, I was supposed to do that this episode. Kevin was supposed to pass it back to me after I introduced him, and he just went ahead and introduced you with no. You had so many adjectives ready. Kevin, don't even give me that face. I had so many adjectives ready, Andrew. But now we can go ahead now. We can go ahead now. I was gonna say all this crazy stuff about you being a great dancer, well dressed, whatever. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm just messing around. I think for a lot of us in Web3, it's kind of hard to, in 10 seconds, sort of pitch what we are or who we are. That's part of the fun of it, because you come into this space expecting one thing, and then you get hit with all these different things, and you figure out what your identity is on the fly. I mean, sometimes you wake up and you feel that you're onto something, and then it doesn't work, and then you want to try something new. I mean, I came into this space just trying to collect some art, pay my rent, because I was working as a freelance writer, not making much money at all. So I know K-Money relates, not just now, but even in Web3. but no, I'm playing. But it's like, you know, you come in like that, and then you have all this creativity come to you because you're surrounded by artists. You see founders trying things. You see ones that fail, ones that succeed, and then over time you take your own crack at it. But I would say where I'm at now is, I had my first experience being a founder of a small, low-stakes project yesterday. But I think at the same time, I'm still super invested in building up artists, being there for the community, hosting Twitter Spaces. I'm getting back to that because the other day I showed you my art, K-Money, and you said, if this is what you stopped hosting Twitter Spaces to do, I think you should go back to Twitter Spaces. So I'm never going to forget that. Thanks for being a friend.
Dude, Andrew's like the funniest guy ever, bro.
I know. But dude, also, I was just playing. You know what I mean? I think the pixel art you made was great. I also just have so many questions regarding it, and I really hope our editor can just like post some of it like over here so people at home can see. But how do you make pixels look worse? You know what I mean? Like, did you? And like, I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying like.
You're talking about the lo-fi nature, right? It's a little bit deep fried. They're a little bit deep fried.
No, oh, dude, I feel like Andrew had to kind of create his own, because it's like I never thought you could lower the quality of the lowest quality of something, but Andrew did it, and I think that in itself is art. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, oh, like pixel art, it's like really low hanging fruit, and then you're like, no, I'm gonna bury the fruit, and it's gonna be like towards the center of the earth. So I love that. But also, my introduction of you would be, I would just say you're a Renaissance man, really, because I feel like since the time I entered this space, I obviously like knew you as more of kind of like a journalist in a sense, or like someone like a writer, and then I got to meet you as a person, and I got to see like the fucking fashion icon of Web3, and I got to you also are a shit poster in your own nature as well, and now an artist, now a founder, and yeah, man, I would just a fucking Renaissance man.
So there's this thing about Andrew. Wait, real quick. I have to say this. There's this thing about Andrew where like I don't actually know what he does, but I just feel like he's super rich somehow. That's my perception. That's my perception of you, Andrew. I that didn't contribute anything to the conversation, and I interrupted you and looked like an asshole on my own podcast. But I just wanted to say that. So go ahead.
I think that's always super interesting, right? It's this is a space that's hyper financialized. So obviously, if you see somebody with a lot of interest and a lot of attention, I think it makes sense to try and draw that connection. But I think at the end of the day, there are a lot of us who just came into this space trying to create a new name for themselves, try to make a new life, do something interesting, be the best version of ourselves that we can be. I see these people, and either they're incredibly short-sighted, which I might be, right, to not be able to monetize every aspect of their being, or they're gigabrain seeing this long term, because if Web3 really is the future and this thing's going to be like ubiquitous and like omnipresent in our society in say 10, 20, 30 years, I think contributions and actions done here like don't go unnoticed. That's what you mean when you create a culture, right? If you're not telling that story yourself, people will tell it for you. I think it's almost like the same thing with K-Money. People might be like, hey, you have so many followers. You make content that when you put it out there, it makes every single person in the space laugh, and maybe a few people like shit on you and hate you, but for whatever reason. But for the most part, it makes people laugh, and I think it's a net positive. And the answer is like, does that necessarily translate to ETH or wealth? And the answer is no. The same way in Web 2, content creation is oftentimes very hard to monetize. I tried making a Twitch stream a few months ago, and like I was telling people like, don't subscribe to me. I'm on stream saying do not subscribe because I think I'm gonna get like $2, and all it does is put the IRS more on my ass. So so don't subscribe to me. It's a liability.
But Andrew, I think we've kind of been joking around this far on the podcast, but I think what you're talking about is actually something that is like really important to understand
if you are a player in the space, a contributor, a creator in any way, which is that I think you have to sort of frame your thinking around how long you are on Web3, right? And there's this intricate kind of balance, right? Of course, I want to support creators being able to monetize in the short term because I think there's nothing cooler than people being able to make a full-time living off of Web3, right? This is what I love. But also, and Kevin and I talk about this all the time. Whenever you were like breaking onto the space, we talked about this a bunch, and it's like being conscious of foregoing some of those short-term gains in order to try and build a long-lasting brand, because you think what I think about very often, right? Whenever things are challenging and it feels like we're kind of throwing paint at the wall over and over again, just trying to get something to work, and we're not seeing those instant results like you feel when it's like a bull market, right? It is that we're trying to, and most of the people that I admire in the space are trying to build up goodwill or an audience or a reputation or a catalog that if this whole Web3 thing pans out, like those of us who are believers think it will be invaluable, right? In 5 or 10 years. It sounds like that sort of, and correct me if I'm wrong, the same mental framework that you're using as far as electing not to try and monetize everything right off the bat. And I think there's a lot of validity to that, and I'd like to see, honestly, more people thinking that way.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thesis, and sometimes the thesis doesn't play out perfectly, but I think some of us just need to be able to look in the mirror and like the person that we're becoming. I know K-Money's talked extensively about facing that and having like a good mental health, and for me, it's kind of that same way too. At a certain point, you still have to live and be a human being, because if you lose that, you won't be able to produce anything. Your creativity goes out the window. You become a shell of yourself. And maybe you have some money, but I think having money but not knowing how to keep it going in the future, or even use it to bring people together or feel satisfied. I mean, look, like maybe I sound stupid saying this, but I still really believe in that. And look, like, I think I'm trying to get to the point where other people are okay with me being that way. I'm signed with UTA, United Talent, and one of the jokes we always have is my agent Griff is going and pitching me to people, and they're like, what does he do? And Griff has to start with like, sometimes I don't know either. And then sometimes they're like, can we call Andrew right now? And he says, no, you can't call him because he's at track practice as a 24-year-old out of school trying to make the Olympics. So you cannot call him right now. But I think part of the fun is where we can't just be packaged into this very simple thing of like, this is what this person does, bring him into this, this, and this, leave him out of that. I think part of the fun is that in Web3 you can do a lot of things. And if you do them with intention and you execute well, then more opportunities will probably come.
Yeah. Did you just like casually throw out your training for the Olympics?
I'm trying. It's based on a loophole. I don't want to give it away too much, but I think, there's this idea like if I could change my citizenship to a smaller country, some of these smaller countries have easier qualifying times. And, I'll throw myself in a race and go dead last, but everybody's going to see it. I'll be like head to toe in tattoos of every NFT that wants to sponsor me. That's the payday. Think about it. Like the worst finish in any Olympic track competition in history, finessed by a Web3 degenerate, covered head to toe in different PFP projects.
Dude, are you?
I think that's
What?
Wait, I have no idea if this is
genius.
completely satire or not. Wait, are you actually trying out for the Olympics? No bullshit.
Look, right now I still have some time. I'm trying to train. I've gotten my mile down to about 4 minutes and 16 seconds, but I think
That's
it's pretty
fucking
good.
fast.
It's
That's
fast, but it's
crazy.
garbage compared to professionals. But I just need to sneak in enough.
So how fast do you have to run?
Man.
How fast do you have to run to qualify?
I probably need to drop a few more seconds, but I think it just comes with more training. And
Dude,
it's
are you
like
running
a few?
Are you running every day?
I mean, the last few days I've just been ordering McDonald's every day, probably getting like 5 pounds. But that's also my lifestyle. You know, I'm not trying to be the best. I just need to sneak in, and I need to convince other people that I can make it there.
Let's
Dude,
fucking go, dude.
This is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. This is the most like Giga Brain, Giga Chad thing ever in my life. And I just want to say off topic, Champ, you look like a super villain. You look like you have like a white Persian cat on your fucking lap right now.
Dude,
and
I need
Andrew,
to get a haircut. I need to shave.
Dude,
like,
Andrew looks like a goddamn referee for like the Chuck E. Cheese league of like football. I just had to say
Kevin,
that.
you want me to bring up? You want me to bring up that hoodie, bro? You want me to tell that story on the podcast, bro? I don't think so, bro.
No, please don't.
All right, now, all right.
Okay.
You know I got the secret, the dirt, bro. I was just out in LA. I could listen, but Andrew, I'll tell you this right now. If you make the fucking Olympics, I swear, and you're getting tattoos of projects, I will be your first sponsor, bro. Champs Only is going on your left. Wait, no. Your right arm, tricep on the outside. Wherever the camera is, bro. I want the most expensive placement. Like the crazy billboard ad. I'll buy it from you. I swear to God.
All right, you want to know where's the most underrated place to put a tattoo? It's like almost Olympic culture at this point. So when running athletes become Olympians, they put a tattoo of the Olympic rings right there. And the reason is because when you wear a singlet to race, that's actually the most prominent part of your body that shows. So I'll put like a ngmi right there.
So we need the right rear delt.
Yeah, my word. Right rear
Dude.
delt. I think that's what it's called. But I
Kevin,
mean,
why don't
that's my whole point. That's my whole point about Web3. Like, there are a lot of ways to think bigger. One of the ways to think bigger is if you have a project, how to bring more value to holders, how to do more innovative stuff, how to create something open source, whether it's at the contract level, or some way of bringing people together, organizing people, whether it's pre-mint or post-mint, whether it's IRL events, whether it's digital to physical, right? Whether it's, playing around with the technology, like changing metadata, delivering experiences with Web2 brands, like all these things, that's a way to think bigger. A way to think bigger is like, how does Web3 empower me as an individual and the immediate people around me? I mean, if this thing really is the future, like, in Web3, we're all kind of like interconnected all over the world. But I think the way society is organized, like you have yourself, you have your immediate family, you have your friends you see all the time. You have like, if you live in a little town, your local government or whatever, and all these different scales of being a person and being a part of society. We haven't really reached that yet with the forms of organization we have in Web3, but I think it's something to think about. Like, it should kind of fundamentally transform the way people move about the world and hopefully make it better. So I'm also just thinking about shit that I wanna do in my life. Yeah.
Is this breaking news? The Olympics thing? Have you told anyone this?
I mean, my agent knows. I don't know if he's like down for it, but he's like, if this dude pulls it off, it might be interesting.
Dude, I'm praying for your agent. That's crazy.
This is honestly like the most Web3 motherfucker thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Like, just like, hey, like I'm gonna train to be in the Olympics, but not to win, but just to be in there. And the way I'm gonna try to be in there is like obviously by doing the craft, but also getting citizenship in a small rural country where the competition's not that high, and then get recognized and be in the Olympics, and then sell advertisement placements like on my body as tattoos, bro. Like, I don't think a person outside of Web3 could have had that thought. Like, I genuinely don't. Like, this is
no. Here's the crazy.
Man.
No. Here's the crazy thing. Like, this isn't even that bad. It's not even I actually think it's a good idea because, dude. You can get like if you want to get the real tattoos, that's fine. You can do like 2-week semi-permanent tattoos that will go away and will look real.
I want the real one. I'll pay for the real one.
And you can charge a premium for the real ones.
I don't want to pay a premium.
Okay. Well, let me do this, right? I want to steer the conversation towards some stuff Andrew has worked on lately and let him platform his passion and his creativity and some of the stuff that he doesn't need a platform, Kevin. I know what you're about to say. He already has one.
No. I was gonna say, was that the best segue into that you could have done?
Yeah, and I want to let him, splat his passion onto the podcast. So Andrew, let's talk about the project that you launched like 2 days ago, dude. What is Splat? How did this happen? And respectfully, what the fuck? That's my question.
I mean, to what the fuck, I also have no idea. But I think I'm going to try my best to work through it. So, I think, I just want to say this. I think a huge part of Web3 is being able to just express yourself and create things. You have all these tools and all these opportunities just to create things, but you have to balance that out with responsibility and obligation. So for me, like, if I'm trying to launch a big project like a 10K PFP, that's something that I think takes a lot of obligation and time, and you need to be really committed to that for a long time. I mean, it's what I would say to somebody who's like, Andrew, K-Money, you have a platform. Why not just launch a 10K PFP, price it at like 0.1 ETH, 0.2 ETH, 0.3 ETH, bring in like $5 million, get VC backing if you want, become rich, buy a yacht, whatever. And like, to me, responsibility has a cost. And I think, I would guess that K-Money, you haven't launched one because that cost is not always worth it on your mental, on your relationships, on your day-to-day, and what you want to do with that freedom you currently have to create this. Mm-hmm. I've kind of been in that same boat. I'm really sensitive about launching something where I ask for a lot. So I said instead, what's something we can do where we don't ask for a lot, but we can deliver a lot back? And it really just fell into my lap because we saw the protest at the National Gallery in London where two protesters came in, locked eyes on the target, which was Van Gogh's sunflowers, and spilled tomato soup all over it as a way for them to protest oil and fossil fuels. And it became this huge viral moment. And you always think with social media, when a viral moment happens, what do? You can make a tweet about it and maybe it's funny and you get some likes. Maybe you make a TikTok about it, you get some likes, you get some followers. But like at a bigger level, brands and big companies with lots of money are playing this game totally differently. Think about what happened with the guy, playing Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, longboarding, a Big Dog, I think was his name, while drinking ocean spray, right? It was this amazing viral moment that just had perfect vibes. And if you're an individual like us, without Web3, we could just tweet about it, make a joke about it, uplift him and what he's done, and say this is really cool. But then if you're on the brand side and you have this money, you can be ocean spray and be like, hey, let's make this an even more viral moment. Let's support this guy. Like, behind so many viral moments that we have now, it's backed by big money, big brands, lots of professionals coming together, like whole teams that almost manufacture virality on top of virality. And I said, in Web3, what's a smaller way that we could respond to this? Literally as a handful of people in a short amount of time, and try to almost compete or do what big brands are able to do in Web2 all the time. So we came up with this project called Splat, where in Web3 you can mint your own tomato soup can and basically throw it at any NFT. You don't have to own it. You can own it, but you don't have to. It could be the NFT of your crush, an infamous rugger, your most hated arch nemesis. It could be a grail, something that you could never afford, but all of a sudden becomes fair game. Because, those protesters too looked at Van Gogh and said, this is such a huge piece, and we can get attention by splatting that. For us, it was like, why don't you do it with your JPEGs as well? So we built the back end for that. We tried to make it into a fun little experiment for people to have fun with.
I think you did a great job with it. It was very interesting, and it made me excited. And actually, I'm not surprised at because at first I was like, okay, how did you come up with the idea for Splat? Because it's just such a new kind of experiment. But then he just told me about you trying to go into the Olympics. So that connection made a lot of sense to me because clearly, I don't know, like you look at things that happen in our society or like social events or current events and things like that, and you just think of ways like on how you could integrate that with like the Web3 culture and like the Web3 space. And I think you guys did a great job at that. I unfortunately was in a Twitter space when the Splat went live, so I already got to miss out on every NFT I wanted to Splat. So now I might have to settle and do Champ's fucking Mutant, which would actually be a service to the public because I would cover how ugly it is. Sorry.
No, go off. Keep
I-
going.
Okay, no, bro. Like, yeah, Champ, in that turtleneck, you look like you would be watching the Van Gogh sunflower piece get splatted, and you would be like writing a blog about it. But here's the thing, Andrew. Like, who all was on the team? Because like, wasn't it like an all-star lineup of like people that came together to do this also?
Yeah, so it was under the umbrella of Devotion, which is kind of this little collective of what I think are like really serious people who want to like make NFTs really fun, and we all sort of do different things. So launching something under this umbrella is like a way for us to be nimble, where if one of us has an idea, someone else can help with the design or the front end, the back end, communications, and then we could just sort of send it and just go. So Devotion is myself, it's Backseats, who's our dev, and Psyduck, who I met in Cool Cats, who is good at handling the business side and also helps a lot with design. And for the soup cans and the Splat as well, you know, we took the idea and I brought it to Danny Cole, who's a close friend of mine, who worked on Creature World. We've done all kinds of things together in the past. And we said, hey, can you help make this vision a reality on the visual level? So all of us kind of working together is also fun. It's one of the cool things about Web3 as well. Just being able to organize people and say, hey, let's try to do this thing. I mean, part of the fun too is I just wanted this to be an experiment. I have so many people in my ear saying like, pump the floor, turn this into a proof pass. And it's like, if we only have those expectations, then we lose some of the benefits of being able to be quick and nimble. We lose the benefits of being able to experiment and try to put out a proof of concept or a use case. If everything has to be final at the get-go, then I think we lose a big part of what makes the space special and different. And for me, it's all just about setting expectations. I hope we did that.
How did you put this thing together so fast?
Adderall.
Good answer.
And also, yeah, this episode is sponsored by Adderall. Like that'd be amazing. But dude, so can we expect more kind of like social experiments, expressive kind of things like this from the Devotion team?
I think so, and I think what I want to say is like, when you experiment, you're supposed to be open to the idea of fucking up and making mistakes and messing up. I think again, it just is all about creating the right culture for it. I mean, I want to do more experiments personally. We think about things all the time. Soulbound NFTs, or certain NFTs that can only be traded at a certain time, or NFTs that reward how a user participates. NFTs where if you do a certain thing, like contribute to the project, that metadata can change. There are other projects out there that were really cool, like even Dittos. We credited Dittos as inspiration for part of the contract because that was the idea of like being able to steal an NFT, which we needed because we had to go in, find the token URI and the image data of an NFT you'd splat, pull it out, make a copy of it, and then splat that. So it's always like, experiments are fun, but you just have to take responsibility for it, especially if it's monetized. Like for us, we sold only 1,000 at 0.05. And part of it was like, why didn't you sell more if it sold out so fast? Why didn't you price it higher if you have some big names on the project? And it's like, that's not the point. The point is that if we were to sell something much bigger and try to get as much as we could, then that changes the expectations. I think being able to experiment with low expectations, but a desire to change things and really get people's minds going, like that's the kind of culture I want to promote. Because the idea of a rug is something like we're still trying to define, but I think it really does come down to setting expectations and then delivering value. And to me, the value isn't getting to Splat, you getting to Splat Champs Mutant. And it's funny to me because we think of it as like defiling, desecrating, and fucking something up, and you think about it as saving the rest of us from having to look at as mutant. So there you go.
It can be both.
Dude, yeah, it can be both. Please do pump my bags, though. Can you at least just say some buzzwords to make the floor go up a little bit? Like, just, like everything you said is great, and I agree with everything you said, brother. Everything, okay? But here's the thing. I bought 5 of them at 0.5, and my brother in Christ, like, just tell the people it's gonna be the next proof pass. Like just.
I mean, if it's engagement you want, I don't know if podcasts work like this, but MetaMask, Hack, Coinbase, Ethereum, MetaMask,
Right.
student tutoring, online essays.
Right.
Maybe that'll bring some more eyes and ears onto the project.
Dude, with that fucking student tutoring, your bag just went straight to 0, Kevin. It's over, bro. That shit's over.
Dude,
him and I bought him almost at the same time, Andrew. But guess what? We're supporting the homies.
Yep.
And the really sad thing is that I would love to have splatted Kevin's PFP. He just doesn't actually own a punk. It's fake. So I couldn't do that, unfortunately. But like we all have our things. Like mine is having an ugly PFP. Kevin's is LARPing, and yours is training for the Olympics. So we certainly have sort of a motley crew here. But in all seriousness, the insight on that is cool, right? By the way, whenever I saw the line art on those cans, I was wondering if it was Danny Cole. Before you guys revealed that, like it had that sort of, I don't know what you call it, like his brush style where it's kind of like splotchy, on the line work. And that was really cool to see. I hope that you continue to sort of do these like unannounced all-star artists on future drops. I think it is really cool. But I want to ask you before we go, right? I obviously you're sort of intentionally not setting strong expectations, and you're intentionally letting it be free-flowing. But when it comes to devotion, or rather even sort of Andrew Wang's future, right, as a creator in the space, I won't ask you necessarily what your plans are, because obviously those shift a lot, but I'd like to know what your aspirations are and what you really want to create at a high level moving forward.
Yeah, it's a tough question, and I think it's something people should try to answer without trying to be like really convoluted or try to hide like alpha, because things can always change anyways. I think for me, the biggest question I want to solve is how to create projects that really amplify network effects. And what I mean by that is like, I like it when NFTs can bring people together. I think the ultimate goal is to change people's minds and not just see these as, assets that can help you make money, but maybe this or even this or to kind of change your mind. I think that will create a huge incentive for more onboarding. That'll bring more fun back to NFTs. So at the very high level, that's what I want to do, because deep down, I want to make it fun for myself. I feel like it's, no matter what, like even just being in the space is high stakes. Even if you're making money, it is high stakes, because you could be doing anything else with your life, right? You could be in school. I mean, if not for the pandemic and the university I wanted to go to not taking PhD students, I would be on my way to being a professor right now, which is like maybe what people think is the opposite of a degenerate. And instead I'm, in my apartment at 24, a total degenerate. And it's like, that's a risk. Even being here is a risk. And some days I wake up and I'm like, NFTs are the greatest thing to happen to civilization. And other days I wake up and I'm like, it's all a Ponzi. And I think, what exists between that is you getting up every day and being able to think like, if I like what I see, how can I make it better? Or how can I uplift what I see that's good? And if I don't like what I see, how can I be the change? And being the change is hard because I don't even know if I'm doing enough. I see so many founders out there who are like building new shit all the time. And even founders who have been able to raise money to kind of exponentially do more cool shit. And I'm like, looking from a third person level, they're pushing the culture forward. And then you ask yourself, and it's like, am I pushing the culture forward too? And I think part of it is being okay that sometimes the answer is no. But I think it's also about thinking like, how do I keep my vision? And like I said at the very beginning, I want these network effects to keep compounding. I mean, from Splat, I was able to splat Beeples every day because it's the most valuable NFT in existence. And, people retweeted it and it, compounded and more people heard about it. And then I splatted his retweet to get his ass again. Someone was able to connect with his favorite artist, Dmitry Cherniak, who did ringers. He splatted the goose ringer, and Dmitry was like, bravo, and they became connected. And to me, that's fun. It's fun when you guys have podcasts like this, and everybody can tune in and sort of come together and get a collective insight into something. Or when somebody else launches a project, makes something open source, and then all of a sudden, it gives people new ideas. Like, that is what objectively is new information to make NFTs exciting again. Because just walking around in the world, you don't see things being invented all the time. I was walking around, I was like, what are brands doing to like change the world? Well, why are people saying like Kanye West created fashion for the 21st century? I was like, I don't know what goes on there. Like, I have no idea. I'm this little ant in this huge world that is just consuming and being told what's happening and what these sea changes are. And then I've always felt that, as this little ant, all I can do is choose to adopt it, aka buy it, aka put it on myself, put it on my body, put it in the way I talk, the way I move, or reject it. And to me, I want to get to a point where we can sort of be co-creators. With Splat, it was like vandalism on the blockchain, and I wanted to use the term permissionless collaborators. How can more of us be permissionless collaborators, or permission collaborators, I suppose, in building a cooler future, where future K-Moneys and Andrew Wangs don't wake up depressed. We wake up like, holy shit. Sorry to throw you in with me.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. It's accurate. So, but honestly, I will say throw Champ in there as well. We all have that in common. Dude, I love your perspective on just life in general, but like more so like this space because, dude, it's like, it is constantly changing, and that's the thing I love about you. It's a thing I also like really love about like Champ. Honestly, like Frank D. God, shout out to him as well. Is that like everyone is like, we all understand that like life and success and just everything we're doing, it's like, it's not linear. You know what I mean? It's like we all like to operate with the ability to just flow through things more, and it's like less rigid, less like, oh, I need to do exactly like this and this, and like we'll still have like our goals and aspirations, and like we'll get there, but like on the journey there, it's like we're all pivoting, and we like accept that, and we are empowered by that, because I think that's something that like really just like holds so many people back, and it just makes everything stale. And I think in like, again, you're talking about like it, like in like Web 2, it's like most things feel stale because it's like you have like one person who goes and like experiments. It's a lot more rare these days, but they'll like experiment, create something new, and then everyone will follow suit. But in Web 3, it's like you just see like more people innovating and creating than not.
Yeah.
So shout out to that.
One really emotional thing I want to say is throughout the course of this podcast, I've just been watching Champ get shorter and shorter on the screen, and it's been bothering me. I just have to say it.
Dude. Bro.
There he is. There he is.
Sorry, I was having back pains, Andrew.
Well, now I feel bad.
No, it's okay, dude. It's okay. It's from carrying the podcast on my back for 8 weeks. But no, Kevin, I'm just kidding, bro. You come on, you know I'm joking. But look,
I know.
Andrew, you I already obviously had a lot of respect for you and looked up to you as a creative, but talking to you has been like in the non-ironic sense of the word enlightening, right? Like seeing your actual perspective. You strike me as somebody who is very attuned to sort of like their own emotions, strengths, and weaknesses, but also somebody who cares about the space. And who's more than anything, and this is what I maybe admire the most, willing to put themselves out there and display to the public that they are not perfect in their decision making, but try and try again, because I think those are the folks who are going to crush it over the next 1 to 5 years. And I aspire to be that way. So I appreciate that about you. And I appreciate you coming on the show and giving us all these tidbits and sort of bits of knowledge and some great headlines about bullying children. So
Yeah,
I appreciate you, man.
I'm imagining
I
Andrew's like agent right now, just shaking, bro, just shaking.
Yeah, I have so much more to talk about, but if we have to go, we have to go.
Dude, I feel we might have to do a V2, bro. We might have to do 2 episodes.
I wanted to set that up. That's why I threw that in.
Let's do
I
it.
would love that. Yeah, I just love talking about life with Andrew so much. Yeah, man, you inspire me. You enlighten Champ. Apparently, you inspire me. We love you. Just please don't ever wear that jersey on the next one. But
I'm gonna watch this back and be like, wow, like I was rude.
No, you weren't rude, dude. You were actually maybe our funniest guest.
yeah. But also, Champ and I's love language is talking shit to each other. So like, I think you're just very self-aware, and you're a genius when it comes to emotional intelligence. Boom.
There it is.
So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, future Andrew, watching this.
100%.
Is there anything? Is there anything you want to say to our audience before you leave?
Last thing might just be a bit of advice. It's advice, but it's also something that I wanted to talk to Kevin a lot more about. It's this thing where like the space is changing so fast, and we all have to sort of accept that. And we have to accept that what works today might not work tomorrow. And I don't mean that in the financial sense or trying to sell something out. It's really just all aspects of being, communicating, thinking about the space. I think what got me here was being positive and trying to uplift artists. But everything changes, and I always make that joke that I don't believe anymore in WAGMI. But I think really what it's about is how do we keep growing, and how do we not stay complacent with what's given us a little bit of success in NFTs, because maybe first it starts with a little bit of personal success, but then you hit this big mountain of like, well, great, like congratulations, but now your job's to change the culture, and that's how you keep moving. So shout out to you guys for doing this to try to change the culture. Honored to be on this show.
Dude, I appreciate you, man. And yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. I'm not going to ramble. We're going to leave on a high note. That was beautiful, man.
Yeah, don't fuck
I
it up.
appreciate you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much, my friend. That's a wrap.
Much love.